A couple of other really useful things about the color guide is your ability to save the color groups. So once you've got a harmony that you like or that you at least want to consider, you can save it either by going down to the bottom of the palette or by going to the drop-down menu and selecting Save Colors as Swatches. Each time you do that, even if you've made a slight change, it will save it to the swatch palette. Now, I can also edit one of these color groups, so either from the swatch palette or the one I'm working on. If I want to do the one from the swatch palette, I'm just going to double click on the folder, and it's going to pull up a edit color dialog box. It'll usually start out looking like this. You can then keep the color harmony, but you can change the position of it on the color wheel. Now look down below and notice that it defaults to hue, saturation, and light to dark. But it keeps also the color harmony linked, so there's some consistency. This is your primary color. So that's the same one that on the color group is the first color. If you pull on one of the secondary colors, that can move independently. You want to be a little bit careful with that, otherwise you're going to gravitate back towards having all high saturation colors. You can also move the slider, and you can decrease the saturation. Now if I want to decrease the saturation of all of them, I'm going to select the main color, and then that will pull all of them in together. If I decide I want to pull this one back out, I need to select it first, then go back to the primary color, and now I can manipulate all three of them together. So sometimes you want them to be equal, and other times you do want to have one that's going to be darker or brighter than the others. Then switch back to the primary and keep that consistency. You also have a couple of other ways that you can view the color. If you come down here, it will allow you to show the brightness, so you can move from shades to tints. The other one allows you to see the saturation on the hue wheel. This one is the brightness. So I can go back and forth between saturation. So as I pull towards the center, I get more muted, desaturated tones. Towards the outside are the brighter tones. Again, I can choose one independently to go darker, or I can pull all of them out and keep them equal. If I'm in this editing mode and I want to save the color group, you can do so. It is, let's see, up here, there's a folder, and you can click on that and say New Color Group. And now you see I accidentally saved two of the same ones earlier, but now I have my original and I have my newly edited one. What's also cool about this editing mode is you can switch over to display color bars, and then you can truly see what the color relationship looks like when it's used in a larger context. You can also select this little button down here and it'll randomly rearrange them. And notice that it does start to have a slightly different look and feel depending on the arrangement, so it's good to consider that. You also have in editing mode an option to sort of segment, so you're seeing, instead of seeing this continuous variety of color, you can start to see it a little more like swatches. It really depends on what helps you to edit the best. One thing that you probably want to avoid here is unlinking the harmony colors, because then you're departing completely from a color harmony and everything will move independently. So this goes back to just randomly or independently selecting colors. So I'm going to avoid that for now. Then I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And I've got my new color harmony here. I can also select from the color guide and go down to the other option and choose a different arrangement. So let's say I'm going to try complementary 2, which gets me a little more of an analogous variety. And then I can go in and decide to edit that in a very similar fashion. So you can see this is giving me two monochromatic, slightly analogous variations of the split complement. And that I can also save as a color group. So you can begin to get a number of different arrangements.